Live with our insider from the Insiders, our man James Hammer. How you feeling?
All right. I mean, that's a good win. Like it's not the way you wanted
There
to
are
win
no
it,
bad wins.
but at
There
this
are
point,
no
like
bad
it,
wins moving forward.
it don't matter anymore. Yeah, you got to go out there and you got to play, and you like. I thought there were some bold play. I thought the 3-point shot by Malik Monk was one of the most bold plays I've seen in a long time. Um,
Onions.
yeah, I
Talk about
thought
it.
the play by Sabonis where he's sitting there watching Popovich, like uh, telling his center to go like like does Greg not know that everyone sees him doing that?
That's
Like
an
the whole entire
all-time.
crowd's like
That is such an all-time
it's like
moment.
it is. He's just like, waving him. And I put it out there. The 2-minute report came back and said that Sabonis didn't foul Malachi Branham on the take to
Mhm.
the basket, that Branham actually initiated contact, and that the Sabonis were running side by side with him. I'd like them to call it that way the entire game, not just in that moment when they're backing their referee. But overall, I just thought, gritty performance. Even Harrison Barnes coming back in and quietly putting up 17 points. I don't think anyone realized he had 17
Yeah,
points, but
very quiet.
yeah,
Yeah.
like five, he had all five of his free throws. He did the things he needed to do, and yeah, they aren't all going to look pretty. I think that's it, the answer at the end of the day.
I don't know this for sure, but I think the last 2-minute report came out and Pop called Mike Brown and yelled at him again. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I feel like happened.
Mike Brown was like, "Bro, I don't know why you're
He's
telling me
just,
this. I don't.
sorry, Pop. I
I
don't know what to tell
So
you.
yeah. And in his mind, he's
No,
like,
you're right. You're
why
right.
are you telling me
I'll call the
this?
league and you can have the win, Pop.
That's right. Just give it to him. You know.
Hey, hey, James, you were at both. I'm assuming, but I'm pretty sure you were at both. Was this a louder eruption in the Golden One Center than the Kevin Herter moment, or the same, or just a little below?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, like this was just it was a good crowd. I think the crowd when a crowd boos, like there are times where the team deserves it, right? And I don't know if last night was one of those times. But I think the crowd was engaged, and that's what you're hoping for. I mean, look, shout out to Kings fans who are putting 18,000 people in the building every night. Like it's not just a sellout now. It's like I swear the Kings are like putting fold up chairs out and like whatever they can possibly sell, whatever real estate. I think there might be a point where they like have just like things floating from the ceiling, like little like floating groups of seats that you got to like take an elevator to get to. It's crazy how they just keep increasing the size of the arena,
They
but
made random suites.
They did. They
Hey,
did.
this is a suite.
They just added glass. That's all they did. It's amazing. It's right by the grocery store that they added.
Grocery
yeah.
store.
They added a 7-Eleven at the Golden One Center. It's amazing.
I know it's like they were like putting plexiglass around, and someone said, "Oh, that looks sweet," and someone goes, "Oh, it is a suite. Let's sell it.
That's what it is.
Let's sell it."
No, James, let's jack up the price 3 times and then sell it because now it's not a seat.
Yes.
It's a suite
It's sweet, and it's
with
sweet
plexiglass.
with plexiglass and all.
You're not really separated from the people.
Nope. Nope. Just got a little plexiglass in a grocery store right outside your. Right
I'm telling
outside
you, I
your
could have
area.
used that. I could have used that during the playoffs in Golden State because, like I told you guys, where they put me is it's not far from where I mean, there's a couple of rows that go up the like one corner of the arena where they put media, but they put me on the end, and there's a screaming fan right next to me. Like my table ends, my laptop is right here. There's a dude standing next to me yelling and screaming the entire game. Like it was not at all cool. Like I was like, "Hey, can you guys not put me there again?" They're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, we'll move you somewhere else." Yeah, and they did.
He was sitting next to Draymond Green. That's what
Yeah.
it was. James, there were a lot of weird stats coming out of last night's game. One that stands out to me that Kenny and I were talking about a little bit ago is the Kings for the second straight game were absolutely dominant in the paint. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama wasn't there. The Sacramento Kings took advantage of that. 76-52, the Kings played in the paint, and it feels like the Kings point in the paint, excuse me. It feels like there's been maybe a little bit of renewed emphasis on, hey, let's not live and die by the three every single game. Let's find other ways to get points. And I just took a quick look back. They scored 70 in the paint against San Antonio at HBCU night a couple of weeks ago. Spurs outscored them 72-70, but still 70 points in the paint for the Sacramento Kings is a lot. It's something that I don't think they were doing earlier in the season.
No, it's not. And I almost feel like it's the next version of De'Aaron Fox. Because I think we talked about this early on. Like, if he can prove that he can hit the three ball and you got to go defend him out there, then you're done. Like, that's it. Like, no one can stay in front of Fox going to the rim. So it's almost like this is a counter to the counter to the counter. And I think that he's the guy who's been leading the charge in this area. And then he's getting downhill. And then Fox is getting, Monk is getting downhill. And next thing you know, they're feeding Domas, who's already at the rim. And so that's how you're starting to accumulate all these points at the rim. It's a good thing. This team last season was number 1 in the league in 2-point field goal percentage. It's part of the reason why their offense was so deadly. It wasn't just all 3-point shots. And when they were shooting 2-point shots, they were highly, highly efficient. And so, we always talk about points per possession and all that. But if you're shooting 55% or 57% on 2-point shots, that's almost as good as a corner three. That's a really, really good percentage shot. And it's something that if you can get that repeatedly, especially when you throw in the fact that you're more likely to get a foul on a 2-point shot than a 3-point shot, then, it kind of builds in that those are opportunities where you can really score in bunches. And even right now, the Kings are shooting 57.1% on 2-point shots, right? So they're 4th in the NBA. But again, if you do the math, that's like 1.14 points per possession, which is almost the equivalent of hitting 40% from a corner three. That's really, really solid offense. And it means you're getting easy looks. So if that's where, you kind of are as a team and what your potential is, you might as well go to it. And last season, the Kings shot 58.6%. Again, they're number 1 in the league. That's incredible because that just means that, like, it doesn't matter if it's at the rim or if it's, a mid-range jump shot, which De'Aaron Fox lived in last year and really hasn't shot a lot of this year. Still, it shows you that there's a different path than just shooting a bunch of threes.
And you talked about that mid-range jump shot. I thought Fox kind of went back to it in that second half, particularly in that fourth quarter last night, where and I thought that was the right call, and I want to see more of it because with him being as fast as he is, obviously they're going to have to give some space, or if he starts to accelerate and go downhill, the- they're going to be trying to get to the bucket and beat him there. You can stop on a dime, pull up 15 feet away, and he's so automatic with that shot. Jesse brought it up yesterday. He's almost like how we look at DeRozan with that shot and Westbrook, and when he was in his MVP years, when he was 15, 16 feet away. It's just money. It's pure. It doesn't touch anything but the bottom of the net. And he got back into his bag last night doing that in the fourth quarter. And I thought that was a great call by him and gonna help the Kings stay within punching distance last night.
Yeah, at this point, it feels like De'Aaron has to pull everything out of the bag, right? If they're gonna win, he is. The last 2 games, he shot the ball 32 times each game. That's incredible that he's got 64 shot attempts in the last 2 games, but it tells you that he either is being really selfish, which I don't think that's the the deal, or he's waiting for other people to step up and they're not, and then he's taking over. And he's just like, all right, if this is a game, then I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna go put on the Jets and get to the rim, and I'm gonna pull up on my mid shot. And I think especially the Lakers win, like Kyle broke it down. He had like 11 points in the first quarter, 12 points in the second quarter, 11 points, or it was something like 9, 12, 11, and 12. Like, that's how he got to 44. And that's something we haven't seen from Fox. And last night, he barely did anything in the first quarter, but then you saw him like make a concerted effort in the second quarter to really hit them. And then when they built the lead, it was a lot on Fox. So like, look, the Kings need everybody to step forward right now. And we're starting to see a little bit of weird wavering by some of these guys. Like, I don't know what's going on with the Kevin Herter situation, but playing 16 minutes and going scoreless, that's
Mhm.
tough. And that's who he is. He's a scorer. And for him to not really look like, he had a couple of tough bounces. It looks like he almost has a little hitch in his 3-point shot again, magically appeared. That's not good. But Keegan Murray can't go out there and go 1 for 4 from the field. And in the last 3 games, what's he got combined? Like 12 shots or 20 shots, whatever it is in the last 3 games combined. That's not enough. So I'm kind of intrigued to see if this is like, is it the chicken or the egg? Is it because De'Aaron Fox is shooting 32 shots, or is it because these other guys aren't shooting any and they're not stepping up to the plate? There needs to maybe be a little bit more of a balance there, but again, it's all about winning at this point.
Who's that fall on? The Keegan Murray shot attempts. Is that the flow of the Sacramento Kings offense? Is that Keegan not being aggressive enough? Is that Mike? Is it De'Aaron? Is it Domas? Like who do we start that conversation with?
It's a good question. Like, because I think when you're watching a game and you're like in the flow and, watching Fox take over and everything else, I don't so much look down and say, hey, why is he not getting any shots? Like,
Mm,
if a guy starts out hot and he scores a bunch of points early and then he doesn't score any, and you're like, did somebody take him away? Is it situational? Is it because they made a concerted effort to limit that player? I don't think that that's been the case. I just think that there are certain times where Keegan kind of doesn't look for it, kind of doesn't demand it, and we're in one of those little bits of the season where whether it's he's banged up, again, he I saw him before the game and he had his right shoulder was KT taped like all up, and then he wore like a compression shirt underneath his uniform, which is unusual last night. So clearly he's a little beat up in his shoulders. But again, he's out there playing and he's doing his best to be a good defender and do the other things that the team needs him to do while he's maybe struggling a little bit on the offensive end.
They need him to pick it up, though. I mean, I know he's injured or whatever, but I want to see him at the very least take more than 3 shots
mm.
or 4 shots. I think he had last night. I
I
mean,
think no one's comfortable with him taking 12. Like, we need more than 12.
I'd take
Like,
that too. His offense is just too important to this team, and it allows this team to go to another level. They can win with the combination of the Kings' big three: Monk, Sabonis, Fox, getting 75 to 80 points like they've done the last couple of nights. But if they're in the 60 range or something like that, you're going to need that 10, 15 from that you can count on, that you can guarantee almost from a guy like Keegan. And to get to that point, you got to take the shots, right? So I want to see him. They get 2 days, to rest now. They played 3 games in 4 days
Mm.
this week. So, maybe that extra day of rest might help him come out and feel a little better on Sunday.
yeah, like, this is a point in the season where everybody's beat up, everybody's feeling it, and I mean, you're looking around the league, and look how many players are just not playing. I mean, you guys, I know when I was coming on, you guys were talking about Anthony Edwards. How do you think Anthony Edwards is feeling this morning? Because I don't know that. I mean, I personally wouldn't be able to walk after hitting my head and my back on the backboard, hitting my head on the rim and my back on the backboard, and then hitting the ground from there. Um, but like all of these players, I think that's realistically, it's the beauty of a player like Domantas Sabonis being ground based and not being a high flyer. It actually comes in handy. Like, if you can get enough, if you have those players that are sort of, holding down the fort for you, and that it just means he doesn't get injured as much. He doesn't have, he's not at risk flying through the air. And not only that, but he's a guy who goes out there and he's just a warrior. Last night, right early in the game, he got slapped in the face by, I don't even. It was probably Zach Collins because I think Zach Collins slaps everybody in the face.
That's what he be doing.
Yeah, he is kind of just like a guy who slaps everyone in the face.
Somebody
But
else has a stupid look on his face too.
yes, I know. My friend Kyle hates his face. Zach Collins' face. He says it all the time. I hate his face. It just makes me laugh because I have no idea. I'm not concerned with what's happening with players, what they look like on the court. Except for the one dude that walked out, Sando. I mentioned this on the Insiders earlier that they had to put in their backup to the backup to the backup center. The guy who looks like an extra from like a prison show on HBO.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
Yeah,
wow.
and
Old Oz reference right there from James.
Mamish Skelly, whatever his name is, like his name is like
Yeah.
14 characters long. And I sent Moke a text. I'm like, hey, great job there, dude. I don't know how would I, and he sent me back like the phonetic spelling. And I'm like, all right, well, hopefully he doesn't do anything. You don't have to keep saying it. That would be
Yeah.
ridiculous.
There was a
But
couple of times I said, "Who the hell is this guy?"
He does look like an extra from Oz. Yeah, no,
oh yeah, and he's all
he's
tatted up.
yeah.
Yeah. Moke was
Got
kind
the
enough. Again, he was able to send me um Mamu Kelishvili. Kelishvili. Mamu Kelishvili. That's how you say his name. Yeah, it's like that television commercial where the guy can't
looks like
say the guy's name. Yeah.
looks like he could have been in Power as well. Just one of
Yeah.
the distributors for the
Sons of
You
Anarchy.
know,
for the
Like
guns and the drugs.
there's a couple of shows he could have been in. Yeah.
you know
Even
what's
like
hilarious? If you look at the images, one of them's of Zach Collins. I was like, wait a minute. Is that what this dude looks like without a beard? He looks just like Zach Collins. And then I pulled up the picture. I was like, no, that's Zach Collins' media picture.
it's
Why
Zach
do they got
Collins.
this wrong?
Well, look, not to take us all over, but the other part that
Too late.
infuriated me about Zach Collins, we're gonna play late in the game. I don't know if you could see it like where you were at, James, but Collins goes for a shot, gets it blocked, gets the rebound, and just throws his head and shoulder into Trey
Trey
Lyles.
Lyles.
And they called a foul on Trey Lyles.
I think they called it on Domas. I think they like was like, what is happening?
I said, how is that legal? How are you able to do that?
Zach Collins is he's got pointy elbows. He does not nice things on the court the whole time. And him and Domas, they're both Gonzaga guys. You can see them like, hey, what's going on, man? Like hugging it out. It's like, yeah, good to see you. Just wait a couple of minutes. I'll slap you in the face really hard. Sabonis's whole face is red. He's like starting to get a black eye. You're like, man, every single game you get hit square in the face. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know. It does seem like that the Spurs have an inordinate amount of players that look like John Wick is about to kick their ass. That like they're just extras in a very violent film, and they're going to get beat up and thrown down a flight of stairs.
What did you think last night, Hammer, in your media availability when Domas said, yeah, we kind of had one of those, oh no, here we go again moments. What did you think when he said that?
Truth. I mean, I had the same thing.
That was as honest of a comment from an athlete as you might get.
No, I I think we had a couple of really, really honest comments by whether it was Mike Brown or whether it was Domas or whether it was Malik in the locker room dropping F-bombs and just saying, hey, well, that's a bad team. We shouldn't lose to that team. It's like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, I'm not going to like refute what you're saying, but at the same time, you don't usually see players like be that honest and forthright. And I thought he was honest. I thought Domas was honest. And, again, I thought Mike Brown was too. Like, look, we're happy we won, but we're not happy the way we played. Like, that's not going to get us anywhere if that's who we are. We can't give up allow another team to shoot 47% from three. Like, you just can't keep expecting to win with doing, playing defense this way or allowing teams back in and, a 20-point advantage on a 13-win team and you can't put them away. It's not the way you usually stack wins. But yeah, as far as Domas, yeah, I will keep saying this. Domas at the podium is so much better than Domas in a scrum. Like, just his answers are better, they're longer, he's more thoughtful. Like, when he's in a scrum, whether it's in the locker room or whether it's at the practice facility, it always feels like he's doing, like, speed round. Like, he just wants to answer questions as quickly as possible and get out of there. I don't know if it's because people are, like, so like, they're surrounding him and he feels uncomfortable, but him at the podium is always, like, more insightful and just better as far as an interview.
I'll ask you this because we kind of started the show talking about it. Just get your thoughts. Your thoughts on the whole booing aspect. The players saying they don't really like it. Um, Fans allowed to be fans whenever they want to be, but the players. Damien's point was, I thought, excellent early. Doesn't seem to be helping anything. But where do you stand on all that?
I don't know. I thought Malik was pretty honest and said that he doesn't like it at all, but that he did feel like it gave him a little extra bounce. And I think that that's what I mean. As a fan, I don't love that you go out and you boo all the time. And I think it's funny the first couple of minutes they boo Buddy Hield, but after that, it's like, okay, just settle down and like just enjoy the
No,
games.
that's funny though. No, that's funny.
Yeah, when you're
That's my
booing,
favorite tradition.
Get a chance to do it in a couple weeks.
when you're
Oh,
booing your own team, though, I think that
yeah.
it's usually because they deserve it. And this team has expectations, and let's be honest, they have not lived up to expectations. And like they're close, but from one night to the next, they haven't lived up to the expectations. And we were joking around about, how they keep adding seats and they keep making new suites and all that. For a family of four to go to a Kings game right now, it's going to cost you $1,000. I mean, that's a really, really expensive night out. And if you spend all that money and Victor Wembanyama doesn't even show up, I didn't even see the dude. I don't know where he was. I don't even know if he came to the arena. But if you don't get to see Victor, and then on top of that, the team that you are there to support doesn't show up for a quarter and almost loses a game, I get it. Like I would be frustrated and angry too. It's sort of that, it's not what you paid for. If it's a close game all the way down to the wire, but it's, two really good teams going at it, that's one thing. But, I think most Kings fans are, to be honest, they're really intelligent fans. They're smart fans. They're good fans as far as in the basketball world. And I don't really have a lot of problems with fans booing as long as it's not like all the time every day because, I covered a lot of bad basketball, like 12 years of bad basketball. And if everyone booed every time the team wasn't good, that would be a problem. But I think there's expectations, like, hold them accountable to those expectations in the moment, and not all the time, but, like, there are certain times where you're like, "Hey, man, you just blew a 20-point lead to a team that's no good playing without their star. That doesn't make any sense."
Again,
And again,
again.
yeah, for
And
the
that's I think
6th time.
that's the brunt of like the frustrated Kings fans in that arena
Yeah,
is like it's the Doma. It's literally what Doma said. Oh no, here we go again. That's what
yeah.
that's what the reaction of the crowd was is, "Oh no, here we go again. This sucks."
Yeah, totally. And like in the chat, Scooter points out that he's spent 100 to 150 per ticket for two people to sit in the lower bowl. A family of four, though, let's say you spent 150. That's $600 right there. That's before your 25 or $30 for parking. That's before any food. That's before your kid wants a jersey. That's before anything. Like
Yeah, James
that's
goes to extremes when he's talking about 1,000. You're talking about getting jerseys and a whole bunch of food and parking and, all of those, like, extra expenses. Hell, I bought a hoodie that was damn near $200. I can't imagine what a jersey costs.
Man.
oh yeah, 140 bucks for the standard jersey, I believe. Yeah, and, like, it's expensive. It's an expensive adventure, and if you go out there and you work your butt off at your job to go pay for that for your family to go to a game, and then you show up and you don't feel like the team is putting out the effort that you put out to get there and to spend all that money, I get it. Like, and again, fans are fans. I'm not gonna like, I don't tell anybody how to fan. That's to me, that's everybody has their own thing. Now, I do block a lot of people on Twitter because I think if they're disrespectful or they start blaming me for the fact that the Kings are losing, like
James
I have
Kawakami.
I have nothing to do. But I have no problems like telling someone, go ahead and find somewhere else to get your Kings news. That's fine.
Have you offered to unblock them for a subscription to the King's Beat?
I
Huh?
have, well, I
Huh?
haven't done that, but what I have done is I've been walking out to my car and a big group of Kings fans, hey, and I stop and say hello, and we start to have a conversation. And then one of them says, "Hey, you blocked me on Twitter," and I'm like, "Well, you must have said something." And then the guy next to him goes, "Yeah, you blocked me too," and I'm like,
Oh,
"You
Oh
guys
my.
both must have said something." And then I realized that they're drunk right now while I'm talking to them, and they probably have lost privileges on Twitter before. So I'm like, all right, look, I'll unblock you again, but there's going to be a reason. I don't
don't
just block
drunk
people
tweet me
because
anymore.
don't get angry and yell at the Twitter box and then throw that hate at me because I have nothing to do with wins and losses.
Well, when I was upset last night, I certainly blamed James for what was going on in the Kings game. That's for certain. We'll come back and we'll talk more Kings basketball. Specifically, James, we'll talk Davion Mitchell and Keon Ellis and really the way the bench has played for the last couple of games. We'll do that when Dylan and Casey return with James Ham here on Sacramento Sports Leader ESPN 1320. Oh, man.
Oh, Nelly. Somebody asked a question that I was going to answer. Before that, Kings all-time podium players. I don't know. The podium is a new thing. It's something that's happened with COVID. We didn't have podium. It used to be we would go in and talk to the coach for 10 or 12 minutes, about 10 minutes after the game, and then we go straight to the locker room where everybody's in the locker room. And now they've switched that around. So anyway, that just means that we don't like Fox is the guy who's been at the podium the most out of anybody. Wasn't the Sasha question? Sasha's out. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's a possibility he'll play again this year, but I'm going to guess he's not going to play. Just because by the time he gets done, he's going to, by the time he heals up, the season's going to be super close to done, and you're not going to try to like squeeze him in there just to get him some action on the court. All right. Well, never mind. I can't find the.
Hey, Benzito. What up, man?
Is he in there?
Congratulations on a great, successful night last night.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, I'm trying to try them tacos anytime.
Yes, indeed.
Anytime. Let me know where you at. I'll pull up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I felt bad. I forgot about it last night, or I would have gone over and checked it out.
Is the truck there on Sunday? I'll be out there on Sunday.
What I think we should do is we should get him to come up to like during a weekday, come up at like 11 to 1 and have Aaron Moneybags like just pay for everybody to get a bunch of tacos. It's time.
He was in a good mood
He'll
today.
do it today.
Yeah.
He'll
He
do
was
it.
in a great mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, come up to the studios, man.
Yes, yes.
Bang.
Yeah, I didn't see Aaron today. Was he in a good mood? Had a little hop in his step?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, it looks like he left after the or I don't know if he left permanently, but like he looked like he cut out after the meeting.
Oh, got it.
We'll be following you on IG. I don't think I
I
follow
don't
you
think
on.
I'm following. Let me follow him on IG, man.
Sweet.
Oh, there he is. Oh yeah, I'm on it. I got you. I'm with you.
I'm following right now as we speak too.
Yeah, I'm in there.
It's
I don't know,
awesome.
man. These are the most fire pictures of tacos I've ever seen. I know that.
If they taste half as good as they look. Yeah, and you know what? Like, shout out to Fox for diving in with a local company and really helping you get there. Like,
Yeah,
I know
that's what's
Adam
up.
does all the work, but having it doesn't hurt to have a guy out there making $30 million stumping for you and having shoes made.
Damn, bro, I need some tacos right now.
Man, ain't no lie.
I'm with you.
I had to close that IG page quick. I was like,
Yeah.
I just drank some goddamn green juice. I do not need to see pictures of these tacos right now.
Have I told you I got a locker, right?
There you go.
Hey,
I'm building the fortress of snackitude. It's gonna have
oh,
nothing
Very
but
nice.
snacks.
Very nice. I
I'll
like
give
it.
you guys a combo. I bought snacks today.
my man.
I bought snacks today at the Costco.
We're coming back, James. Back here with the Snack Insider.
Hey,
James Sam.
guess what I just saw?
Tacos. You just saw
I
tacos.
definitely just saw tacos. But
More
a little before
tacos?
that, just saw a post on Twitter. You guys know there's another Wemby out there.
Elaborate.
16-year-old brother Oscar Wembenyama,
Oh no.
6'8".
Oh,
Now, when Victor, I think they said was 7 feet already at 16 years old. So who knows? But they got video of other little Wemby playing basketball. He's a little point guard.
let's go with younger.
6'8".
Let's go with younger Wimby.
Young,
Little Wimby doesn't seem to really fit.
young Wemby, younger Wemby,
Yeah.
because Victor's actually the middle child.
Okay.
He's got an older sister that used to play as well. But
She's
there's
7'1",
another Wemby
too?
out here.
Okay. All right.
2026 draft they talking about.
2026. All right. The Spurs will miraculously land the number 1 pick.
Well, no, they got to get Wemby out of San Antonio.
Well, yeah.
By
Well, if you
then,
listen to ESPN, that's what they have to do.
That's right.
Hammer. Just a quick thing for those on the stream. It would be a really bold move to give Casey the combination to your new snack locker. I don't know if you have seen the punishment that Kenny Caraway does to snacks during a 4-hour D'Lo and Casey show, and that's not even including the KSFM broadcast.
I've slowed down on the vending machine.
Yeah, you go to Kim and you beg for snacks.
Well,
does Kim have snacks in her purse?
Shout out Kim with a crumbled up cheese.
You get random exotic like Rice Krispie treats.
That was good. That was good.
Like, hey, where do Rice Krispie treats at? Oh, I gave it to Kenny.
About sea salt or something like that. It was
All
good.
All right. Hammer, let's talk about that second unit that's been playing so well for the Sacramento Kings and start with Davion Mitchell and Keon Ellis, because you talked about a few minutes ago, Keegan Murray in this, funk. You asked, I don't know what's going on with Kevin Huerter. It just feels like Kevin Huerter, this is who he is as a player. He has these ups and downs. He has these incredible hot streaks, these incredible cold streaks. He has these funks. He has just these different moments. But what's masked this a little bit, at least so far in the month of March, is the fact that Davion is shooting the ball with incredible confidence, and now Keon Ellis has stepped in a role since getting some minutes when De'Aaron went out for a couple of games, and he looks extraordinary. Those two, along with what Malik does, and Alex Lynn when he contributes, and Trey Lyles, they have really been, kind of the backbone of this second unit. You mentioned this. We often forget Malik Monk is a bench player. He comes off the bench, but you got 20 combined points from Davion and Keon last night, and they have been two key components to the Sacramento Kings' last 2 victories.
Yeah, I to be honest with you, my 6 quick thoughts. The original version had Davion Mitchell in it because I thought he was tremendous. Again, showing no hesitation. Like, just go for it, man. Just like let it all go and just play ball, right? And that's what we've seen with him. Really, like, I don't know how much the players only meeting really impacted this team, except for it does seem like it impacted him. Like since that moment, yeah, he's been okay since he's been back in the rotation. He's been solid. But since the players only meeting, we've seen a new aggression from him and just a new like he's in attacking with a different force. He catches and he releases quickly. He's not waiting. He's in the moment. He's just a different player, and to me, that's really, really a good sign because if he can be just reasonable on offense, even like last night, 9 points on offense, his defense is so strong that it really does make him extremely valuable. Now with Keon Ellis, like I just can't say enough like good things about Keon Ellis. This is a dude who went undrafted, who not only earned himself a two-way contract, but he's earned his way to a major like onto the roster, and even this season alone, he hasn't gone down to the G League. Like he was a two-way player who ran out of two-way days. That's what he was like at the trade deadline, but he still hasn't been allocated to down to the G League, and he's a dude that is just played every single time he goes out there. He brings an energy and a passion that's just different. And Mike talked about it early in the season about he compared him to Bruce Bowen, but not Bruce Bowen. But he said, the way that he goes under a screen or over a screen and still gets to the guy, he still gets to a 3-point shooter. That's what I saw last night against Devin Vassell. Like every single time they threw a screen at him, one time he'd go over the top and still find a way to get out in front of Vassell. Another time he'd go under the screen and still find a way to close out. Like he just has a gift for navigating the screen on the defensive end. And if he can do anything offensively, again, he's a knockdown shooter. De'Aaron Fox said it last night. People don't know, but Keon Ellis is a much better shooter than they think. And you look, he's shooting like 38.7% from three right now. Like this guy has a spot in the NBA. And I thought Mike said it really well in post game. Because he always gets asked about, you know, w-
Mm.
I think I asked him about, the struggles of Herder and Keegan. Like, how do you get these guys back going? Because the playoffs are just around the corner. And he responded like, look, yeah, some guys aren't playing well and some guys are playing really well. And I'm not gonna do some knee jerk reaction and play a guy who's playing well for a couple of games and just go away from a guy who's having a couple of tough games. You got to find balance and you got to figure it out and sort of not abandon players. I mean, you need a Kevin Herter, you need a Keegan Murray, especially in a 7 game playoff series. But you also might need a Keon Ellis and a Davion Mitchell in order to become a winning team down the stretch. So it's about keeping everybody engaged and everybody on the same sort of trajectory. And when guys fall off, reaching back and pulling them back onto the wagon and saying, "Hey, no, 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 we're not doing that now." And it's a really tough thing for a coach, but it's what Mike's faced with right now. He's got a couple of players who are just hitting a wall or getting lost in the shuffle in some way, and they need to find a way around it.
James, I'll ask you because maybe I'm just slow to the whole process and the Keon process. I always kind of liked them, but it feels like this time around, and what I mean by that is this time around of getting consistent minutes, he looks better. Like he looks like he's gotten better. Like his game has gotten better. And they made a good point on the broadcast last night. I think it was Katie said, maybe that contract and that security kind of helped him. Not that he was bad before or anything else like that, but it gave him confidence and maybe gave him a little bit more security now this second time around playing these type of minutes. But maybe it's just me. Maybe he's the same exact type player. But do you think he's gotten better since earlier in the season when he was playing?
Well, I think he's gotten better just because that's a natural progression. He's a second year player who spent a good portion of last season in the G League. And so, yeah, I mean, sure, he's gotten better. He's also gotten more comfortable. His teammates trust him more now than they did before because they've been around him more. They understand that he gets the offense. They understand that he can bring more to the table than just being a guy who's running around playing good defense. But either way, this is how good teams are built. You find guys like this that just play well above their salary. and that adds something to your team. And I'll point back to the Houston Rockets when Monty was there. They had a pipeline from their G League team, and they just did this nonstop where they were always creating these types of players that could step in, and they're not going to win. They're not going to be the difference between you being a 50-win team and a 35-win team. But what they are, they're players that make adjustments and help out in crucial moments throughout a season when you have players that sort of fall by the wayside. And again, it's what we're seeing right now with some of these guys, but the Kings still have to figure out a way to get them back. And the fact that Keon can step in and sort of solidify the team during that stretch is a good thing. And then if he keeps playing this way, he's gonna like put himself in discussions like guys like why am I drawing Brown from they got traded to Toronto.
Bruce
Bruce
Brown.
Brown
Yeah, Bruce
from
Brown.
Denver.
That
Mhm.
Yeah, he's gonna play himself into situations like that because that's how hard he plays. And if he can continue to bring these aspects to the game while making very little for the Kings, which is a bonus when you've got, 60 million bucks tied up in two players and 70 million tied up in two players next year, you're gonna need players like him and you have to keep finding players like him. And maybe Colby can be that one of those guys as well.
You mentioned this a minute ago when I asked you about Domas. You brought up Mike. Mike said just the team cannot accept playing like that. What was Mike's tone? Mike is normally, unless he has to bring out, even when he does bring out the laptop, he's really like even keel. Could you get a feel for his temperament last night? Because he started out in his statement before questions were asked. He sounded really upset. He did not sound like, "Whoa, thank God we got through that one." He sounded really, really frustrated with the team. But you're far closer to that. You were there in person. Did you get that feeling? Did I misread that? Like, what was Mike's tone after the game?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't quite like the victory over the Knicks last year where he started going off about the offensive rebounds. And
Mhm.
of course, he gets proven right. You go fast forward to the playoffs and what happens? They got killed exactly like they did against the Knicks on the offensive glass. So he's got a good pulse for what's happening, but I also think he didn't feel like over the top was necessary last night. And why I say that is because whether people want to acknowledge this or not, like the Kings were playing their third game in 4 nights. They were playing on the second night of a back-to-back on a 7:30 start in LA, flew home in the middle of the night, got home, didn't have time to game plan at all. And even if you did game plan, you might have game planned a couple of days earlier for Victor Wembanyama being there. And now you're trying to get a game plan together at the last minute that you're getting out to your players and they're going with their individual coaches after warmups and looking at some stuff, but there isn't the same type of prep and stuff. So I think Mike would love to have just gone off and lambasted his team like he did against the Knicks after their win against the Knicks last year. But he also knows that we're to the point in the season where, hey, you can learn while not looking good and still come away with a win. And as long as you're winning games at this point, that's really the end game. But you have to keep continuing to push the guys to get better and to be better on a nightly basis, not just like X's and O's better, but bringing the same force and energy that they need to throughout a 48-minute game. And for as good as the Lakers win was the night before, and we always talk about you want to play as close to 48 minutes as possible. The Kings played 36 minutes in that game. They just happened to play the final 36 really well, but the first 12 minutes was
Mhm.
was horrendous.
Mhm.
And that's what you're trying to figure out. How do I reach my team without losing my team? And I think he's doing a good job of trying to balance that.
They they found a way to get the win last night after not playing their best. One of the reasons was the guy who had the game-winning shot, Domantas Sabonis, 31 points. And it's something that's been discussed a lot on both of our shows, actually. 19 field goal attempts. The average is 13 for the season. I know Damien has talked about multiple times. I think Kyle has talked about it too. I want to see him shoot the ball a little bit more. Do you think, like, maybe not 31. Not saying he could average 31 a night, but where do you stand with that? Do you think he should take, maybe 15 to 17 shots a night? And, what can he do with that? Would that affect his efficiency? Would it be what we saw last night? What do you think he could do with a couple more shot attempts?
Well, if he did that, if he averaged, 15 to 17, he'd probably be an MVP candidate. And I don't mean like a guy who's going to finish like 6, 7, 8. He'd be a true like MVP candidate. Um, it's just because that's the league, right? It's Kyle and I did talk about this today. It's the chicks dig the long ball. Like you make money by scoring in the league. You make money by hitting home runs in Major League Baseball. Uh, you know, that's just sort of the nature of the beast. And you got in the NFL, you got great defensive linemen who stop the run at like the highest rate possible, but because they only get 3 sacks a game, they make a third of what Nick Bosa makes for rushing the quarterback and piling sacks. Um, Sabonis, if he wanted to be like that guy, he very well could be. Like he's just really difficult to stop. Now you're going to run into limitations at some point because it's like the knock on Marvin Bagley was that he would never go right, and all he could do is go left. Sabonis is the same thing. I think one basket last night he scored with his right hand, and it was like almost a surprise. And he doesn't pull the trigger on his like 16-foot jump shot nearly enough. He doesn't pull the trigger on the 3 ball nearly enough. So there are these things that you want to push him to be better. But if he's going to average more shot attempts, I'm almost going to guarantee they're going to be at the rim like the other ones are. So yeah, there's a point where like he could take that next step. But I also like if you've got De'Aaron Fox shooting 32, and you've got Sabonis shooting 19, like then we shouldn't be calling out Kevin Herter or Keegan Murray or anyone else on that team that didn't take enough shots last night, because there aren't enough shots if you have two guys averaging 51 shots. That's a lot. And so, again, we talk about Davion had a good night, 4 or 5 from the field. You talk about Keon Ellis put up 11 points. Okay, like how many players get to shoot 5 or 6 shots a night? And the fact is that you eventually run out of shots. And so yes, those guys can shoot more. I definitely think that Sabonis could get a few more offensive buckets, but at the expense of what? He already, if you factor in his assists, he's already putting up what he's part of 37, 38, 39, 40 points a night for the Kings. And that's a lot.
And I'm gonna ask you to go in your wayback machine here a little bit and go to 2 early season games against the Houston Rockets, who the Sacramento Kings will see on Sunday.
Feels like they hadn't played them all season.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Kings played as well in those games as the game we're watching right now.
Wow.
Huh?
Harsh coach. It's a 3-point game. I don't think that Kings game was ever a 3-point game.
Have you seen what's going on up there?
Well.
Duke committed 4 personal fouls in the span of 30 seconds.
That's not.
Their coach was literally screaming, "Stop fouling!" And they couldn't do it because they committed the 5th one a minute later. In any event, James,
they got some real Chris Duarte stuff going on out there.
Why did the Kings struggle so much with Houston early in the season?
First of all, I think they overlooked him the first time. And then I think they thought they got lucky. And that's no way to disrespect an NBA team. Alperen Şengün is incredible. Like that dude is a straight up baller. And the fact that the Kings haven't played him in a while is a problem. I mean, he just dropped 45 on Wembanyama, right? They have so much young talent. And then you got, some solid veterans that are out there. Like Fred VanVleet's a really good, solid veteran who is like throughout his career just torn up the Kings. Dylan Brooks, he's done damage against the Kings multiple times, and he's going to get underneath somebody's skin. So I think it's interesting. Like we had Mark Jones on, on the Insiders and in the final block there.
On the
and
video
Mark
stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We had him in the video stream with his slapboard wall behind him. It was really nice. Yeah, we were talking to him, and he said he just did, a Houston game a little while ago and talked to Emi Udoka and all that stuff, and just their talent level. They do have a lot of pieces that you're kind of looking at and going, okay, like it was brilliant to draft Şengün, especially when you were able to get Jabari. Jabari Smith, because that's the type of combo the Kings need on the front line. And for as much as, Jaren Jackson Jr., I think we all think is an overrated player. If he was, at least I think he's overrated. I think a lot of people do. If he was standing next to Domantas Sabonis, it would almost like complete the whole puzzle. And that's kind of what they have there. They've got Jabari Smith Jr., they've got Şengün, they've got the young version of what we're talking about with the Kings. They just need a little bit more, and they need more time to grow together and all that stuff. But that's going to be a really good team. They're really athletic, they're really long, they're physical. And then they have this weird dude who, again, we're going to see like 47 spin moves, and everyone's going to be like looking at what in the world is Şengün doing. And then while we're all wondering that, he's going to throw a ball up that looks like it's going nowhere near the rim, that goes right through the net. He's just like a really odd, like, I don't know, like young, weird version of Jokic and Sabonis and that kind of mold, but he's really good. And the Kings don't take him serious, are going to get their behinds kicked.
Cam Whitmore had a nasty windmill earlier this week.
Oh, they snuck him late in the draft.
He can fly.
Yeah, that
No
dude.
De'Aaron, no De'Aaron in either of those games
no
earlier
Fox.
this year.
No
Of course,
Yeah.
they trailed one like by 40. So
the other one was kind of close.
Yeah,
they just didn't make a shot. It was like Pacers Pistons from 04. It's like 69, 67.
Tremendous.
Yeah, Tari Eason's out. He's out for the season. He had some sort of injury. He's out for the season. But yeah, this is a good young team. They're going to be really good down the road.
Yeah, I mean, people don't like Ime Udoka's a good coach. Like that's and I think he, again, jokes aside, I think he has an identity that he tries to establish on the court, and these guys work for him.
Yeah, they play hard, man. That's half the battle, especially with a young team. Get them to play hard.
Well, we'll see if the Sacramento Kings can win their third straight game in a row and their fourth ? Yes, their fourth in the month of March. When they take on the Houston Rockets, Sunday matinee at the Golden One Center as the 6-game homestand rolls along. Hopefully they give an effort that the Kings fans don't feel like they have to boo, but we'll be in the building. We look forward to that. We got more Kings coverage on